She will never return from Tokyo. I've arranged everything. The deal dies with her. The voice was smooth as polished jade, cold as winter air. It cut through the stillness of the 60th floor, a place meant to be dormant at this hour. Wei Chen froze, his grip tightening on the mop handle. The water in his bucket rippled silently. Hidden in the shadows of the executive wing, he was a specter in a gray uniform, tasked only with erasing the day's traces. He wasn't supposed to hear secrets. He was meant to be unseen. Pressing himself against the cool granite wall, his heart pounded a heavy rhythm in his chest. Through the sliver of the chief of staff's office door, Wei saw a silhouette framed against the twinkling city lights. Hiroshi Tanaka, a man whose smile was always flawless, his suit's worth more than Wei's monthly pay. Hiroshi paced, phone pressed to his ear. No loose ends, Hiroshi murmured, his voice brimming with calm certainty. The reception in Tokyo is set. It'll be tragic, an unfortunate accident. May's ambition finally outpacing her. The board will mourn, and our partners at Horizon Corp will be appreciative. A sharp chill raced down Wei's spine. May, he knew the name. Everyone in the tower knew Mei Lin, the CEO who'd forged this empire from nothing. She was fierce, exacting, a legend discussed in hushed tones in break rooms and elevators. Yet her trusted deputy, the one she relied on completely, was orchestrating her demise. Wei's breath hitched. This was madness, a thriller novel, not something overheard while scrubbing a tycoon's office at 3 a.m. He should retreat, pretend he heard nothing, keep his head low, collect his wages, and return to what mattered, home. The word home struck like a blow. It conjured a cramped room, the faint glow of a nightlight, and the steady beep of a machine that was meant to reassure but sounded like a ticking clock. Jia, his 6-year-old daughter, his anchor in a world spiraling beyond his grasp. He pulled out his phone, its screen casting light on his weary face. The wallpaper showed Jia from last spring, before illness drained her cheeks of color. Her gap-toothed grin and sparkling eyes were Wei's personal mission to preserve. He recalled her tiny hand in his, her fragile fingers clutching as doctors spoke in complex, quiet terms. Rare genetic disorder, progressive, experimental therapies. The words came with numbers, some so vast they felt like a cruel jest. Wei worked 2 jobs, cleaning this glass and steel fortress at night, a factory by day. Yet he was drowning in medical debt, pulled under by an unrelenting tide. Glancing back at the sliver of light from Hiroshi's office, Wei knew this wasn't his battle. Getting involved was reckless, dangerous. A man like Hiroshi Tanaka could erase someone like Wei without blinking. He had Jia to consider. He couldn't risk this job. He couldn't risk anything. But then Jia's whisper from last night echoed, her breath warm against his cheek as he tucked her in. She'd been reading a picture book about samurai and spirits. You're like a samurai, Baba, she'd said, her voice drowsy but certain. You're always brave. He wasn't brave. He was terrified, of the beeping machine, the nurse's pitying looks, a future too painful to envision. Yet his daughter saw him as a warrior. And what does a warrior do when faced with a demon? Hiroshi's voice cut through one last time, sharp and final. It's done. She flies tomorrow. By week's end, I'll lead the company. The line went dead. The office light flicked off. Wei held his breath, a statue carved of fear and indecision. As Hiroshi's polished shoes echoed down the hall and the elevator chimed in the distance, Wei exhaled, his breath shaky. He was just a janitor, a shadow. But a shadow had just overheard a death sentence. Wei's hands, rough from bleach and labor, were those of a man who fixed things, who cleaned messes. This was the ugliest mess he'd ever encountered, and he was at a loss. Dawn's gray light bled into the sky as Wei reached his small apartment, thick with the scent of antiseptic and the hum of Jia's machines. He slipped into her room, watching her chest rise and fall. Her favorite stuffed rabbit, patched and worn, nestled under her arm. Even in sleep, her face was pale, delicate as porcelain. He brushed a strand of hair from her forehead, her skin cool under his touch. He hated this helplessness, a constant shadow. He was her father, meant to shield her, to make the world safe, yet he couldn't fight the invisible enemies within her. Jia's eyes fluttered open, a faint smile crossing her lips. Baba, she rasped, voice soft. You're home? I'm home, little one, Wei said, forcing a smile. He sat on her bed's edge, taking her small hand. How are you feeling? Tired. The beep-beep machine was loud. Her gaze, too wise for 6, studied him. You look tired too. Did you fight lots of dirt spirits at work? Wei thought of Hiroshi's cold voice, of Mei Lin, a woman he'd only seen in photos, headed toward her doom. The biggest, he said. Did you win? The fight's not over, he whispered. Jia's brow creased with worry. She placed her small hand on his cheek, steady despite her frailty. It's okay, Baba. You're a samurai, Baba. You always win. Jia's small hand rested on Wei's cheek, her touch anchoring him. He closed his eyes, drawing strength from her unshakable belief. In her world, heroes didn't stand by while evil unfolded. They didn't lurk in shadows. They fought. Wei knew what he had to do. It was reckless, terrifying, a janitor stepping into the path of a bullet train. But looking at Jia's trusting face, he realized it wasn't a choice. It was a duty. He had to try to stop it, to be the man Jia already believed he was. He just prayed he'd survive. Wei spent the next few hours in a fog of sleepless dread. Sleep was a luxury he couldn't afford. He prepared Jia's breakfast, his hands moving with a parent's practiced calm while his mind roared. He mixed her medicine into her rice porridge, his smile a fragile mask. Every mundane task felt like a betrayal. How could he discuss her favorite cartoon fox when a woman was walking toward her doom? He arranged for his neighbor, Mrs. Kim, a kind elderly woman, to watch Jia, citing an urgent work meeting. The lie burned in his throat. "You look shaken, Wei," Mrs. Kim said, her lined face creased with worry as she stood in his doorway. "Long night," Wei muttered, kissing Jia's forehead. He held her a moment longer, breathing in the faint scent of her lavender shampoo. "Be brave, Baba," Jia whispered, her arms tight around him. "Always," he promised, his voice thick. The airport was a chaotic world of noise, wealth, and restless energy. Wei felt like a pebble in a rushing stream. His faded jacket and worn pants clashed with the sleek suits and designer bags. People flowed around him, their gazes sliding past as if he were part of the scenery, a reminder of the invisibility that had let him overhear Hiroshi's plot. He scanned the towering departure boards, eyes darting over cities. Tokyo. For flights before noon, Japan Airlines, All Nippon, Delta, and United. Which one? Panic clawed at him, sharp and cold. What was he doing? This was a fool's mission. He'd miss her. He'd fail. He started toward the Japan Airlines counter, then stopped, gut churning. He was wasting time. Think. Where would a CEO like Mei Lin go? First class, surely. His eyes swept to the premium check-in lounges. Then he saw her. Mei Lin wasn't like her photos. Smaller in person, yet she dominated the space, her presence commanding. Her tailored navy suit was sharp, her hair in a sleek, no-nonsense bun. She moved with brisk, impatient energy, an assistant trailing her, and beside her, smiling with a leather portfolio in hand, was Hiroshi Tanaka. The sight of him sent a surge of adrenaline through Wei. Hiroshi's casual lean as he spoke to her, his confident smile, it was the look of a hunter closing in. This was Wei's only shot. Heart hammering, Wei moved forward, weaving through the crowd. He pushed past a group with overflowing luggage, ignoring their annoyed murmurs. His focus narrowed to Mei and Hiroshi, nearing the priority security line. He broke into a clumsy run, his worn boots thudding on the polished floor. "Miss Lin," he shouted. Heads turned. Mei Lin paused, her face tightening with irritation as she saw him charging toward her. Her bodyguard, a broad man in black, stepped forward, hand on Wei's chest. "That's close enough, sir." Wei ignored him, eyes locked on Mei. "Ma'am, please," he gasped, voice raw with urgency. He felt Hiroshi's gaze, cold and calculating. "Your life is in danger. Don't board that plane." The words spilled out as he'd rehearsed, but they sounded frantic, unhinged. Mei's expression wasn't fear but icy disdain, assessing and dismissing him in a heartbeat. He was nothing, a speck in her flawless world. "Remove this man," she ordered, her voice low but carrying absolute authority. It happened fast. The bodyguard's hand became a sharp shove, sending Wei stumbling back. His feet tangled, and he crashed to the floor, pain and humiliation jolting through him. His shoulders throbbed. Onlookers stared, their faces a mix of pity and curiosity. Mei Lin didn't glance back, adjusting her jacket with a flicker of annoyance before gliding through security. Hiroshi, though, paused for a split second, his eyes meeting Wei's. A faint smirk curved his lips, triumph. Then he was gone. The bodyguard loomed over Wei, voice a low growl. "Stay down, or I'll have you arrested for harassment." "Clear." Wei nodded, the fight draining from him, replaced by heavy despair. He'd failed. He'd tried to be the samurai, and he'd been crushed like a nobody. Slowly, he pushed himself up, body aching, pride shattered. He was just a janitor. Nobody listens to a janitor. Wei limped to the departure board, watching the status for the Japan Airlines flight to Tokyo shift from check-in to boarding. Mei Lin's name lingered in his mind. He had failed. He'd faced the demon and been mocked. Nausea churned in his gut. He pictured Mei Lin striding onto the plane, crossing an ocean toward a meticulously planned accident. He saw Hiroshi Tanaka, sipping sake in first class, a killer cloaked in charm. Then Jia's voice echoed, "You always win, Baba." He couldn't let Mei die. His eyes darted across the concourse, restrooms, cafes, duty-free shops. Then he saw it, a row of payphones, tucked in an alcove by the currency exchange, relics of a bygone era. A reckless, terrifying idea sparked. It was a line he couldn't uncross. He'd lose his job, maybe face prison, lose everything. But Mei Lin would live. His feet moved before his mind caught up. In the payphone's dark screen, he saw his reflection, a worn, desperate man with fear in his eyes. The samurai was gone. This was a man with nothing left to lose. He lifted the receiver, its cool plastic slick in his trembling hand. Coins clinked into the slot, each one a step toward finality. He dialed the airport operations number, memorized from security posters. The line rang once, twice. Airport Authority Operations, a calm voice answered. Wei's breath shook, his voice a hoarse whisper. There's a bomb on the plane. System, plane to Tokyo. Stop it immediately. He dropped the receiver like it burned, the clatter echoing in his mind's silence. The words he'd spoken were poison, a monstrous lie that would terrify hundreds. His heart pounded, a frantic rhythm. He had to get out before the chaos he'd unleashed erupted. Hood up, Wei walked, forcing a normal pace. Don't run. Don't look guilty. Security cameras felt like eyes on his back. The first signs of trouble stirred, a gate agent's urgent radio call, her face pale. Then the PA system crackled, attention in the terminal. All flight operations are temporarily suspended. Please remain in the concourse and away from gate areas. A murmur of unease spread. Phones rose, people craned to see. The message shifted, security and emergency personnel to gate C22. A security incident has been reported. That was Mei's gate. The crowd's chatter grew anxious. State troopers appeared, moving swiftly. Wei kept his head down, aiming for the exit, a fish against a tide of fear. Everyone stay where you are. Put your bags down, a sharp voice commanded. Wei's blood froze. Tactical agents fanned out, locking down the concourse. He was out of time. Ducking low, he slipped along the wall, past a shuttered newsstand and a coffee shop where baristas stared wide-eyed. The exit doors gleamed ahead. He pushed through, stumbling into the cool air of the parking garage as sirens wailed in the distance. He ran, breath ragged, heart screaming. He'd done it. He'd stopped the plane. And he'd just become the city's most wanted man. Aboard the Japan Airlines flight, Mei Lin tapped an impatient rhythm on her leather armrest. She'd just ended a furious call with her Tokyo legal team about the delay. Unacceptable, she snapped, slamming her phone shut. Hiroshi Tanaka, beside her, radiated calm concern. Likely a mechanical issue, Mei. They're always cautious. Cautious wastes millions, she retorted. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, flat and tense. Ladies and gentlemen, we're returning to the gate due to a security threat against this aircraft. Please remain seated. Authorities will meet us on the ground. A gasp swept through first class. Mei's annoyance hardened into fury. A security threat, an attack on her world. What is this nonsense? She demanded. Hiroshi leaned in, voice soft with concern. Mei, could this be related to that man in the terminal? The one shouting at you. Mei's jaw clenched. The janitor. Absurd, but the timing nagged at her. He was nobody, a speck of dust. Yet the coincidence gnawed. The janitor's wild, desperate eyes haunted Mei Lin. When the plane docked, two grim-faced men in dark suits boarded before the jet bridge opened. Miss Lin, one said, flashing a badge. FBI. We need you to come with us. They escorted her to a stark, windowless room buried in the airport's depths. Her fury was a controlled blaze. Do you realize the cost of this disruption to my company? She snapped, voice like frost. Agent Park, the lead, remained unfazed. Our priority is a credible bomb threat, ma'am. Has anyone threatened you recently? Anyone who might want to harm you? Mei nearly scoffed. My competitors are endless. They target my profits, not my life. Anything unusual today? Park pressed, eyes steady. Mei hesitated, the janitor's frantic face resurfacing. Admitting the encounter felt like exposing a flaw, but lying to the FBI was unwise. There was an incident, she said sharply. Some unhinged man approached me, ranted about danger on the plane. Park's partner scribbled notes. Description, ma'am? Ordinary, Mei said, waving dismissively. 40s, exhausted looking. Janitor's uniform under a cheap jacket. Claimed I was in danger. A janitor? Park's eyes sharpened. The agents exchanged a glance, subtle but telling. Mei, attuned to boardroom cues, caught it instantly. The investigation had a new target, her janitor. Wei burst into his apartment, chest heaving. Mrs. Kim looked up from the TV, startled. Jia, coloring at the kitchen table, leapt up. Baba. He swept her into his arms, holding her tight, her hair ex-grok, system prompt. Wei's heart pounded as he buried his face in her hair. She was safe, for now. Goodness, Wei, you look like you ran from Shanghai, Mrs. Kim said, rising from her chair. Something like that, Wei muttered, voice unsteady. The TV blared local news, flashing lights, police cars, stranded passengers. Can you believe it? Mrs. Kim said. Some maniac called in a bomb threat. The Tokyo flights grounded. The airports locked down. Wei's blood turned to ice. Blurry security footage filled the screen, a hooded figure hurrying from the payphones. His face wasn't clear, but the jacket, the posture, it was him. Jia's arms tightened around his neck. Baba, your heart's going boom boom. I'm okay, little one, he lied, forcing a smile. The reporter droned about a federal manhunt, an anonymous tip line. His city, his home, was now a cage. He was the prey. He had to run. The thought hit hard. They had his description, his job at Lin Enterprises. His employee file would lead them here soon. They'd storm in, drag him away in front of Jia. The image made him ill. Jia hummed softly, coloring, her oxygen machine hissing in the corner. She couldn't run, her life depended on this apartment, her machines, her treatments. Leaving her was unthinkable, but staying was worse. A sharp knock jolted him, hard in his throat. They're here, he thought, panicking. No fire escape, no way out. Trapped. Wei? Mrs. Kim's voice came softly. I saw the news. You okay? Relief flooded him. He cracked the door, chain on. We're fine. Just shaken. They'll catch that monster, she said, eyes worried. He nodded, speechless. Monster. That's what he was. Closing the door, he made his choice. His only hope rested on Mrs. Kim's kindness. In a sleek office overlooking the city, Hiroshi Tanaka slammed his fist on his desk. The Tokyo trip was cancelled, the deal in ruins, May alive. Months of planning, undone by a janitor. His phone buzzed, his Horizon Corp contact. What happened? The voice growled. A complication, Hiroshi said, voice tight. Some lunatic called in a bomb threat. The airport's a fortress. You said this was clean. It was, Hiroshi snapped. This was unpredictable. But I'll handle it. He hung up and immediately dialed his head of corporate security, a man whose loyalty was bought and paid for. I need a name, Hiroshi said, skipping greetings. This morning at the airport, a janitor from our building caused a scene with Miss Lin. He was stopped, then released. The FBI is after him. I want his file, name, address, photo, everything. Now. What's this about, Mr. Tanaka? A loose end, Hiroshi said, voice turning to ice. And you're going to help me tie it. He had to reach Wei Chen before the FBI. The janitor had seen his face, heard his name. If Wei talked, it was over. Hiroshi wouldn't just face prison, he'd lose the fortune Horizon Corp promised. He stared out at the city below. Somewhere down there, a janitor was running. Not for long. That evening, Wei knelt before Jia, his heart a lead weight. This was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Hey, little one, he began, voice rough with emotion. I have to go away for a bit. Jia's face crumpled, her crayon halting. Go away? Where? He lied, the truth was too heavy for her. It's a special job out of town. Important, and they need me right away. Her lip trembled. But you can't. Who'll read my stories? Who'll be my samurai? Hey, he said, hugging her. Her small body shook with sobs. Mrs. Kim will stay with you. She'll read all the stories you want, and I'll be back soon. I promise. Pinky promise? She whispered into his shoulder. He linked pinkies with hers. Pinky promise. It felt like another betrayal, another weight on his soul. He spent the next hour with Mrs. Kim, voice low and urgent. He didn't tell everything, but enough. I saw something bad at work, Mrs. Kim. Dangerous people. They think I might talk to the police, and now they're looking for me. I have to disappear to keep Jia safe. He showed her the medication schedule, doctor contacts, how the oxygen machine worked. He handed her an envelope of cash, nearly all his savings. For food, anything she needs. Please. Mrs. Kim looked from the cash to Wei's desperate eyes, then to Jia's room. She didn't pry. She placed her hand over his. You're a good father, Wei Chen. I'll watch her like my own. Just stay safe. Later, after Jia fell into restless sleep, Wei stood in her doorway, memorizing her. A ghost again, slipping into the night. He took one last look, then left, the door's soft click echoing like the end. Miles away in her vast penthouse, Mei Lin stared at the city lights. An FBI agent had called. We have an ID, Miss Lin. Suspects Wei Chen, a janitor with your cleaning subcontractor. No record. Single father. We're closing in. It should have been relief, a disgruntled employee, as she'd assumed. Case closed. But one question nagged, why warn me? Bomb planters don't scream for targets to flee. It didn't add up. The threat was chaos, the warning, protection. His words echoed, not lunacy, but a plea, your life is in danger. She rose, accessing the corporate directory. Found the subcontractor list, his name, Wei Chen. A grainy ID photo confirmed it, the tired man from the airport. For the first time, May wondered if everyone, the FBI, her team, herself, had it all wrong. The city at night was a predator. By day, Wei blended in by choice. Now, invisibility was survival. He stuck to shadows, hood low, navigating filthy alleys, echoing service tunnels, grim spaces the privileged ignored. Sirens spiked his heart, police cars were spotlights to evade. His face plastered the city, not the clear employee photo, but grainy airport footage. News dubbed him the airport bomber, a terror phantom. They'd made him a monster. He found shelter in an abandoned warehouse he'd once cleaned, air thick with dust and decay. Huddled in a corner, jacket tight against the chill, he was cold, hungry, alone. All he had was Jia's crumpled drawing, a samurai battling a spirit, in his pocket like a talisman. A warrior without armor or sword, his kingdom reduced to this dusty nook. Hiroshi Tanaka stood before monitors in a hidden security office, off Lin Enterprises' plans. Wei Chen's clear employee photo stared from screens. The FBI sees a lone wolf, his security chief, Kenji Sato, a former military man, reported. They're checking his apartment, associates, daughter's medical records. They're idiots, Hiroshi snarled, pacing. They hunt a terrorist. I hunt a witness, one needing a permanent accident. Where is he? Gone underground, Sato said. No card activity. Phone off. He's scared. Scared isn't enough. Find him, Hiroshi ordered. He wrote a 6-figure check. Bonus for you and your team. No arrest. No questions. Gone. Use every resource. Beat the feds. Sato took the check, face impassive. Consider it done. The hunt was on. While the FBI chased a phantom bomber, a darker, deadlier search slithered through the city's underbelly. The order was clear, find the janitor. Big payday. Dead or alive. Wei's first hint of a private manhunt came on his second night on the run. Huddled in an alley behind a noodle shop for warmth, he watched a sleek black sedan glide down the street, unmarked. 2 men in crisp suits stepped out, not police, but predators with a stillness that chilled him. One held up a phone, showing Wei's photo to a street vendor nearby. The vendor shook his head. The men scanned the shadows, methodical, professional. Wei pressed into the alley's alcove, brick biting his spine, holding his breath. One man paused, head tilting as if sensing something. His gaze swept over Wei's hiding spot, and for a heart-stopping second, Wei thought, he sees me. A delivery truck rumbled by, breaking the moment. The man muttered to his partner, and they drove off. Wei didn't move for 10 minutes, his ragged exhale a shaky gasp. This wasn't just about dodging police or clearing his name anymore. This was survival. Mei Lin hated unsolved puzzles, and Wei Chen was a puzzle. The FBI's theory, disgruntled employee, mental breakdown, was clean, simple, and wrong. In her penthouse, she reopened Wei's file. 2 years with the cleaning subcontractor. Perfect attendance. No issues. Emergency contact, Mrs. Kim, neighbor. Next of kin, Jia Chen, daughter, age 6. A daughter. It humanized him, unsettling Mei. Bombers weren't typically single fathers to 6-year-olds. On a hunch, she checked the building's security logs for the night before the incident. Wei's master keycard accessed the 60th floor at 10:05 p.m. for his shift. The floor was empty except for one other, Hiroshi Tanaka. His card logged entry to his office at 1:15 a.m., exit at 3:30 a.m. Unusual, Hiroshi rarely stayed late unless Mei was there. Why 2 hours alone at that hour? It wasn't evidence, just a thread. But Mei knew how to pull a thread until the tapestry unraveled. 3 days of running frayed Wei's edges. Surviving on scavenged food, fear his constant companion, he needed to know Jia was safe. He spent his last 500 yen on a burner phone from a corner shop, dialing Mrs. Kim from a noisy subway platform, trains masking his voice. Hello, her frail voice answered. Mrs. Kim, it's Wei. Oh, Wei, she whispered. Are you okay? The police were here, asking questions. I'm fine, he lied. How's Jia? She misses you terribly, asks for you constantly. But she's stable. Her nurse came today. A pause. Wei, other men visited yesterday. Not police. Fancy car, said they were from your office's HR offered money for info on where you'd go. Wei's blood ran cold. They'd been to his home, tried to bribe Mrs. Kim. They were systematic. Don't tell them anything, he urged. They're dangerous. I didn't, she said firmly. Told them I hadn't seen you in weeks and shut the door. Gratitude flooded him. Thank you. Come home soon, Wei, she pleaded. Your girl needs her samurai. He hung up, her words echoing. He was no samurai, just a rat in a maze, walls closing in. Hiding was futile. The FBI would find him, Hiroshi's men would get there first. He had one path left, fight. The burner phone trembled in his hand. He had no proof, only his word against a ruthless man. He needed to reach the one person who might listen, who could challenge Hiroshi, Mei Lin. Mei's world was a fortress, penthouse with private elevator, armored car, office behind triple clearance. A fugitive janitor reaching her was absurd. Wei knew every official channel was a trap. He needed a hidden door. Huddled at a public library terminal, Wei relied on his janitor's knowledge, absorbed from years of overheard corporate whispers. He searched for a name, Akiko Yamada, fired by Mei 3 years ago. Akiko had been Mei's executive assistant for a decade, fiercely loyal, bound by a strict ethical code. Rumor was Mei asked her to suppress a damaging internal report before a merger, not illegal, just shady. Akiko refused. Mei, prizing loyalty, sacked her on the spot. But the whispers always ended the same. Mei respected Akiko's integrity, even as she punished her for it. Wei was banking on that integrity. He found Akiko running a small, underfunded community center in Osaka's outskirts. It was a desperate bet, his only one. When Akiko saw the man from the news in her doorway, her instinct was to scream. The airport bomber. Gaunt, haunted, his eyes held a fear too raw to fake. Please, Wei rasped, hands raised. Don't call the police. I'm not what they say. I need your help. My help? Akiko's hand hovered over her phone. You're wanted nationwide. You need a lawyer, not me. No time, Wei pleaded, stepping closer. Someone in your old office is going to kill your former boss. I'm the only one who knows. He's hunting me, the police too. If they find me first, she dies. Akiko paused. His panic wasn't rehearsed. Why me? They say you're honest, Wei said, words spilling out. You stood up to her. She respected that. Maybe she'll trust you still. I need you to get her a message. Her sharp eyes studied his worn clothes, his desperate sincerity. She'd spent her life aiding those crushed by systems. Wei looked like the system's latest victim. What's the message? She asked cautiously. Relief flooded Wei. Ask her one question. What was Hiroshi Tanaka doing alone in his office for 2 hours after midnight before her Tokyo flight? Akiko's eyes widened. She knew Hiroshi. The question's precision wasn't madness, it was a key. How do you know that? I was the janitor cleaning the floor, Wei said. I heard everything. She decided. Give me your phone number. If I can reach her, I will. If this is a trick, I'll call the police. Wei scribbled the burner's number and vanished into the city, leaving Akiko with a scrap of paper that felt like a boulder. That evening, Mei Lin stared at security logs in her penthouse when her private, unlisted phone rang, a number absent for 3 years. Akiko, she answered warily. Hello, Mei, came the familiar, calm voice. I'm sorry to call like this. I have a message. From whom? Mei asked, unease creeping up her spine. Your janitor, Akiko said softly. Wei Chen. Mei froze, the air electric. What is it? He asked me to ask you, what was Hiroshi Tanaka doing alone in his office for 2 hours after midnight before your Tokyo flight? The words struck like lightning. It was the exact anomaly from the logs, the thread she couldn't place. He knew. The FBI's neat story, crazed employee, shattered. Wei wasn't the monster, he was the warning she'd ignored. The real threat was the man she'd trusted with her empire, her life. Her private elevator chimed. Hiroshi was coming up for their dinner meeting. She was alone with him. The chime was a guillotine's drop. Mei's heart raced, but years of corporate battles had honed her composure. Panic was unaffordable. She smoothed her blouse, face a mask of calm. When the door slid open, she smiled, drink in hand. Hiroshi, she said evenly. Right on time. He stepped out, smile polished, holding her favorite sake. Thought we could celebrate, he said smoothly. Put this airport fiasco behind us. Excellent idea, Mei replied, leading him to the living area, city lights sprawling below. Her penthouse, her haven, felt like a glass cage. She poured him a drink, hand steady. I spoke with Agent Park today, she said casually. The FBI's convinced Wei Chen acted alone. Classic disgruntled employee, Hiroshi said, relief flickering in his eyes. A relief. We can reschedule Tokyo now. She watched him over her glass. He thought he was safe. It's tragic what one unstable person can do, he added. Once Chen's dealt with, no more distractions. Dealt, not arrested. A confession in a word. As Hiroshi admired the view, back turned, Mei moved to the bar. Her phone lay there. With fluid motions, she tapped the contact for her trusted security chief, Kenzo. Her thumb typed one word, Nightingale. She sent it to Kenzo and set the phone down. Help was 60 floors away, an eternity. You're quiet tonight, May, Hiroshi said, turning to her, his smile masking concern. Still shaken? Just thinking, she replied, voice steady. She needed to push him, to confirm the truth. Funny thing, though. I reviewed the security logs after the incident, tightening protocols. You were at the office late the night before my Tokyo flight. Burning the midnight oil for the deal? The question hung heavy. Hiroshi's smile stiffened, eyes turning cold, empty. He knew. Always diligent, he said slowly. You know me, May, handling the details. Some details are trickier than others, she pressed, heart racing. He set his glass down, the clink sharp in the silence. The mask fell. You should have left it alone, May, he said, charm gone. You and that janitor should have boarded the plane. May stepped back, composure cracking. Why, Hiroshi? Why destroy what we've built? He laughed, bitter and sharp. We built? I managed the teams, cleaned your messes. You took the credit. Horizon Corp saw my worth. They were ready to pay. He advanced, cornering her between the bar and the window. A tragic accident in Tokyo. The board names me CEO. Everyone wins, especially me. It was perfect until that ghost you ignored. His voice dropped to a menacing whisper. A loose end I'll tie up myself. He lunged. May reacted with boardroom ruthlessness. She flung her sake into his eyes. He roared, staggering. She shoved the heavy bar into his path, crashing it against his shins. He stumbled, giving her space. You can't escape, he snarled, wiping his face, fury twisting his features. May scrambled to the fireplace, grabbing a heavy jade figurine, arm straining. Stay back, Hiroshi. He laughed, unhinged. Too late. My people are moving. Even if you stop me, the janitor's dead, a ghost. The warehouse's silence suffocated Wei. He stared at the burner phone, hope fading. An hour passed. His message had failed. May was likely dead, he'd be next. He'd been a fool, thinking he could challenge titans. Sliding down the grimy wall, despair took over. Then, a metallic shriek tore through the penthouse. The elevator doors buckled, then burst. Kenzo, May's security chief, stood with 2 tactical agents, moving with lethal precision. Hiroshi's face twisted in disbelief. He'd controlled building security, how? Kenzo's eyes met May's briefly, then locked on Hiroshi. It's over, Tanaka. Rage replaced Hiroshi's shock. You knew, he spat at May. Before he could move, Kenzo's team pinned him, zip-tying his wrists. Hiroshi twisted, his voice venomous. This isn't over. You think I'm the only one after your janitor? He's got a bounty bigger than his pathetic life. He's dead, May. The threat chilled her more than his attack. May stood, jade figurine still in hand, voice icy. The police can have Hiroshi. Find Wei Chen. He's not a fugitive, he's a witness, their primary target. Protective detail on his daughter, now. Find him before they do. Understood, Kenzo said, already on his radio. Wei was about to smash the burner phone when it vibrated, startling him. Unknown number. Hello, Mr. Chen, a voice said. I'm Kenzo, head of security for Miss Lin. Is she safe? Wei asked, voice breaking. She's safe. Hiroshi Tanaka's in custody. You saved her life. Tears stung Wei's eyes. Thank God. This isn't over, Kenzo cut in, urgent. Tanaka's network is active, and you're their top target. You're no fugitive, you're our key witness, but you're in danger. Where are you? It could be a trap, but Wei had no choice. Old Nishijin textile warehouse, he said. Don't move, Kenzo ordered. We're 5 minutes out. The line died. Wei stood in the cavernous warehouse, trembling. The low rumble of engines approached. Wei peered through the warehouse's broken window. 2 black SUVs, like the one from the alley, rolled up. Doors opened, dark-clad figures spilling out, faces hidden. Footsteps crunched on gravel, each one tightening the noose around his chest. The warehouse door groaned, a gray dawn light slicing the darkness. Silhouettes filled the frame, moving with precision, not thuggery. Wei Chen, a calm voice called. It's Kenzo. The knot in Wei's chest unraveled. He exhaled shakily and stepped from the shadows. I'm here, he croaked, exhaustion cracking his voice. Let's get you out, Kenzo said. Inside the armored SUV, the door's heavy thud felt like safety. Kenzo handed him water. First, your daughter's secure. A protective detail reached your apartment 20 minutes ago. No one can touch Jia. Wei closed his eyes, the words a lifeline. Jia's safe. The SUV glided away. Wei was no longer running. They took him to a discreet safe house. In the living room stood Mei Lin, dressed simply in black slacks and a white blouse, her usual armor gone. Her face was pale, etched with the last 12 hours' toll. They stood in silence, janitor and CEO. May spoke first, voice soft, stripped of command. Wei, I'm sorry. I didn't listen. You told the truth, and I was too proud to hear it. You risked everything, and I dismissed you. Wei nodded, too weary for anger. You didn't know. I should have, she insisted. You saved my life, and I made you a fugitive. I just did what was right, he said, words small. Kenzo stepped forward. Ma'am, the FBI's been informed Wei's in our custody. The bomb threat charges will be dropped. The team at his apartment has coordinated with Jia's nurse to maintain her treatment schedule. May's gaze sharpened. Treatment? Wei stiffened. It's nothing. Not nothing, May said, eyes relentless. Kenzo? Kenzo glanced at Wei with sympathy. Jia has MLDD, metachromatic leukodystrophy. A rare, degenerative genetic disorder. She needs constant home care. May stared at Wei, the final piece clicking. She saw his exhaustion, his desperation, a father fighting a slow tragedy, yet choosing to save a stranger. The selflessness staggered her. She judged people by power and wealth, but this man, with nothing, showed a richer courage. My company, May said, voice firm with resolve, funds a leading genetic research foundation. They're close to a breakthrough in gene therapy for disorders like Jia's. Wei's eyes widened, a spark of hope igniting. Wei, May continued, warmth in her tone, I'm making a call. Jia will get the best care on earth. Whatever it takes, we fight this together. She raised a hand before he could protest. This isn't charity or a transaction. It's balance. You did right when it cost everything. Now it's my turn. 3 months later, the air was different, no longer antiseptic and fear, but the earthy scent of gardens outside the Lin Medical Institute. The frantic beat of Wei's heart had given way to the steady hum of a machine now symbolizing hope. Jia sat up in bed, her once weak fingers crafting a sparkling mosaic. Color bloomed in her cheeks. The experimental gene therapy was a long fight, but Jia was winning. Look, Baba, she said, voice stronger, holding up her creation, a vibrant, smiling spirit. It's not scary anymore. Wei smiled, a genuine, easy smile. He looks like a great friend, little one. The door swished open, and Mei Lin entered, not in a power suit, but jeans and a sweater, holding 2 cups of tea. She handed one to Wei, her smile warm, familiar. Another masterpiece, Jia, she said, leaning over the bed. He's stunning. I think he deserves a spot in my office. Jia beamed. The easy warmth between the billionaire CEO and his daughter was still new to Wei. The news had moved on, but the changes were lasting. Hiroshi Tanaka and his conspirators faced decades in prison. Wei's name was cleared, and May created a role for him at Lin Enterprises, special consultant for internal oversight, tasked with seeing what others missed. No longer the invisible janitor. In the institute's garden, as Jia worked with her physical therapist, sunlight warmed their faces. I never properly thanked you, Wei said quietly, watching Jia take tentative steps. A month ago, she couldn't do that. You and Jia, May replied, eyes on the girl, gave me something I didn't know I'd lost. I built a fortress, Wei, and was suffocating inside it. You showed me the most valuable things aren't on a balance sheet. Jia, done with her session, ran to them, steps wobbly but joyful, clutching a drawing. Not a samurai or spirit, but 3 figures, a tall man, a tall woman, a small girl, holding hands under a bright sun. She handed it to May. May took it, a tear tracing her cheek. The best deal I've ever made, she whispered. As the sun set, the 3 walked to the exit, Jia's hand secure between theirs. An unlikely trio, the janitor turned guardian, the CEO turned friend, and the girl who saved them both. A family forged in fire, built on courage and second chances. Their story reminds us that heroes aren't defined by titles, but by choices made in the shadows. Integrity is a quiet, mighty force, strength hides in unexpected places. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you reading from today? What does being a hero mean to you? Share your thoughts below, I read every one. If this story moved you, consider following for more tales of hope and courage. Thank you for your time and for believing in a good story. Until next time, may you find the courage to be the samurai in your own tale.